How's it, guys? Welcome back to the live stream and happy New Year's to everyone. And if you guys are new here, please make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. And in this episode today, I'll be going over the most important levels to watch out for Bitcoin and Ethereum and a few other coins. And also this week is a massive week in terms of crypto because we have huge news that is coming out, and next week follows this news. So please stay tuned, sit back and relax and enjoy. So today we actually have FOMC meeting, and that is at 9 p.m. tonight, SA time. And at 5 p.m. SA time, we have job openings and manufacturing PMI, which is red news. So whenever you have red news on Forex fact sheet, this shows that it has a massive impact on the dollar. And what has an impact on the dollar has an impact on crypto. It's inversely proportional, so we have to watch out for this today. So you can see that the PMI, if the actual is greater than the forecast, it's good for the currency, whereas that means that it would be bad for crypto. So we need to watch these numbers. Job openings, if the actual is greater than the forecast, this is also good for the currency, which is bad for crypto. So we need to watch out for both of these, and these are coming out at 5 p.m. today. So trading during these times is obviously, you wouldn't want to do that because the news, you can't preempt the news when it comes out. And so that's today. Tomorrow we have ADP non-farm employment change. So this is the number of people being employed in the previous month, excluding the farming industry and the government. So if the actual is greater than the forecast, so if the actual is greater than 150,000, then it's good for the currency. So we have to watch out for that tomorrow, and that would be at 3:15 p.m. And then obviously we have NFP on Friday. So NFP is non-farm payrolls, which happens every first Friday of the month, and it shows you the unemployment rate from the previous month to this month. And we have the non-farm employment change as well. So this week is very big in terms of volatility, and making sure that if you're in positions during these times, just isolate your positions and look for other entries on different time frames. So yeah, we have that this week, massive news. And then obviously next week we have on Wednesday, if I'm right, let me just get there, on Jan the 12th we have CPI. So this week and the next week would be very big in terms of showing you direction of the crypto markets. So we need to watch out for these events. So just make sure if you're trading during these times, just watch out, as this can have a massive impact on your positions. So that's what we have today. And yeah, so looking at the crypto fear and greed index for today, we have a 29, which is better than what we've had for the last the month and week and yesterday. So it is looking a bit better, and I'll be showing you guys a few charts, my analysis for those charts, as it is looking a little bit bullish on the smaller time frames where we have to clear certain levels, and I'll be going through those levels. There isn't much news. The only news that there is would be the SSB, so Sam Bankman-Fried, pleads not guilty in the whole FTX case, which is very, very weird in terms of how he admitted to causing certain crimes, and when he went to court, he actually pleaded not guilty. So a lot of people are saying, why is he still not in jail? And pretty much basically just saying he should be in jail because he's admitted to these crimes, but he actually said he was not guilty within the court case. So that's very interesting. Need to make sure, keep an eye on what's happening with this story. But yeah, let's get straight into some analysis, and I'll be going over a few other important charts to look at when going into 2023. So yeah, let's take a look at Bitcoin. So what I'm looking at here, so we're on the 4-hour chart. So Bitcoin actually came down to this 1-hour support on the 30th of December, and you can see that stops were hunted over here. So all the sellers actually got taken out over here and buyers stepped in, and yesterday, this morning, we had a massive push up in volatility and volume, and you can see that price came up to this 1 hour resistance. So what I'll be looking at for Bitcoin would be, some type of closure above this zone. So if we get a closure above this area, you can see that it's been acting as a massive resistance since the 20th of December. And if we get a closure above here, we can be looking for longs back up to certain zones, and those zones could be 18,200, which would be our next major resistance. So at the moment, we have to make sure we're watching this zone. If we get a closure above here, I'll be looking for longs, but at the moment we are rejecting off this zone, and you can see every time that we've rejected off the zone, we've come back down to 16,600. So need to keep a watch out for this area, and obviously with the news today, it might be a catalyst to what's going to happen within the market. So just need to keep an eye out on this level. And in the last lives, I was speaking about the USDT dominance. Okay, so you can see that this level over here, this 8.8%, it didn't manage to break this area. You can see that price came up to this zone over here, came up to the zone over here, and we actually got rejected every time. And now what is happening at the current support at around about 8.55, price is actually breaking this zone. So if we get a closure below here, this would be very bullish for crypto, because it's inversely proportional to cryptocurrency. So whatever happens to this chart, the opposite happens to Bitcoin. So I need to watch out for this area. So if we get a candle to close below this zone, then I'll be looking for longs for crypto, because this is the most recent support, and yeah, we need to make sure that we have to get a closure below here. So this is a very important chart to look out for. You need to make sure you're watching this zone, and closures below here, longs will be valid for crypto. So we've gone over Bitcoin. I want to go over the dollar index. Okay, so the dollar index, when looking at the chart over here, so you can see that we're in this clear downtrend, right? So we've been trading in this downtrend, making these. So we made a low over here, made another low here, low here, low, low, and we actually made a previous low. So in order for Bitcoin to get another rally, we would have to close below this area over here at around about 103,550. If we get a candle to close below this zone, then price can definitely come back down to the 101 area. And if price comes down to this zone, anything below here would be valid for longs for crypto. So I need to watch out for the dollar index, because we are in this downtrend, so it is bullish for crypto in the short term. But you need to watch that it actually has to close below this previous low over here. And if we get a closure below here, longs would be valid for crypto. So yeah, you can see that this area over here would be the next ideal place for the dollar to get to, and that's what I'll be looking at for the dollar index. So yeah, now I want to just take a look at Ethereum. So Ethereum's looking very, very healthy. Okay, so you can see that we actually made this higher high over here. We broke this key level of structure. So I was looking at this structure over here. You can see that there's a lot of resistance at this area, and we actually broke this zone. So we broke it to the upside. So what technically could happen is price can come back down to this zone, get a retest, and look for longs back up to this area at the 2 hour resistance. And you can see that this resistance at the top here, at around about $1,300 US dollars, would be the next ideal place for Ethereum to hit. So we need to take a look at that, but obviously it's looking very good. We've had a nice volume candle within the early hours of today, and I do see some type of retracement coming back to the area at about 1,227 before we get another push up. So Ethereum looking very good. We are creating these higher lows on the smaller time frames, and we did break this key level over here like I indicated. So I'll be looking for longs if we get some type of push down over here. So if we get a movement back down to this area, we could see a potential long setup. So I'm waiting on that, and that would be, let me just grab this tool here. So this is what I'll be looking at for Ethereum, where you put your stop loss below the previous low of that candle. And yeah, so I'll be waiting for some type of pushback down, grab some liquidity at the top here, and then get a pushback to the 1,300 zone. So I'll be looking at that. So entry would be 1226.84. Take profit would be 1,302, and your stop loss would be 1,204. So yeah, Ethereum is looking very good for longs, and I do see some type of retracement, because you can see what's happening now. We're finding some level of resistance at this zone, and when looking previously here, you can see that there is a lot of liquidity over here, and you can see that price is struggling to break this area. So there should be some type of push back and then move back up to the upside. So that's what I'm looking at for Ethereum. Yeah, and then I'm going to go over a few other altcoins now. So we have XRP. XRP actually did something very interesting. So you can see that we had this resistance over here, this zone over here, which was resistance and then turned into support, and then turned back into resistance over here. And we have the support level at 0.338, and you can see what's happening here. We actually all these shorts got liquidated over here, and you can see with this massive wick candle, and price is actually pushing back up to the upside. So XRP is looking very good. We had a big so these are basically stops were hunted, and price actually pushed up. So the volume was in favor of the buyers, and all these sellers actually got liquidated. So XRP would be the next ideal zone to look at, would be around about this area over here. I'm just going to pull that across. So this zone over here would be valid if we break these highs. So I'll be looking at maybe break of structure above here. So if we get a break over here, then I'll be looking at potential longs. So let me just make this darker. Here we go. Yeah. So I'll be looking at this. So if we break this area over here, XRP can be looking for some type of longs back up to this area over here. But we have to make sure that we get a candle to close the zone. Yeah, sure. I'll be going over. Yeah, I can definitely go over AAVE and LTC for you. Don't worry about that. I can do that for you. So yeah, so XRP looking at longs if we get closures above this zone, and yeah, we'll have to see what happens. But it is looking bullish on the short term. But we just need to make sure that this candle actually closes above this zone. So we need to get a candle to close above here, and then we can look for longs. So yeah, XRP looking good. We closed those stops over here, and looking bullish. Looking at Link, so Chainlink is very interesting, because when looking at Chainlink over here, you can see that it was playing in this really important zone. So you can see that we had this area over here, so this zone over here, and over here was tapped into multiple times, and you can see now we actually closed below here. So I was thinking, because we closed below here, we might be looking for further movement to the downside, right? But we're actually getting some type of fake out. So we need candles to close above this area. If we get a daily candle to close above this area, then we can look for longs back up to these zones. So at the moment, Chainlink, we need to just wait for confirmations, as I don't see a clear sign for longs yet, but it would be valid for longs if we get closures above this area. So I'm just watching out for Chainlink, not doing much there. But I mean, obviously, what happens to most cryptos? So if it's bullish on the intraday, then most cryptos would be bullish. So, but for me, when I look at charting, I'm making sure that each chart speaks to itself, and you're looking at the face value. You're not looking at the other value of the chart. So, yeah. So looking for closures above this zone, and then I'll be looking for longs back up to these areas. And then I want to take a look at ADA. So this is Cardano. So in the last live, I was speaking about how this zone over here, we had this breakout over here. Let me just grab this. So we had this bear flag over here. That was actually so we broke down the structure over here, came back down to the support, pushed up, and we were trading at this support level. Then we actually made a fake out to the top side, and now we are forming resistance at this level. And this level over here is we have a little bit of resistance sitting at this zone here. So this zone over here, there's something happening here where if price breaks this area, if we get a candle to close above 0.2659, then I'll be looking at longs. And you can see that looking at Cardano, the next resistance would be over here. So this zone over here would be the next resistance, and then alternatively after that we have some support over here. So if we break this zone and then we break this area over here at 0.27, then we're looking at a very big move to the upside. So we're looking at a 8% gain. So what I'll be looking at for Cardano is some type of break over here and then further movement to the upside. So that's what I've been looking at. Let me take a look at Litecoin for you. So Litecoin is quite interesting. So I was looking at this the other day. So you can see that over here. Let me just grab this over here. So we have this resistance at this area. So you can see that price at this zone is getting rejected, right? So you can see we have rejections over here, rejections over here, and rejections over here. So what tends to happen at this zone, we get rejected, right? So if price comes into the zone and we reject off here, we're going to come back down to these sorts of levels at around about these zones here. And you can see that this zone over here would be our next level of support. So I'll just write that out for you now. So this is our level support level, and let me just, so this is our support level over here. So if price managed to react at this zone at the top here, so if price rejects off this zone, we could be looking for shorts back down to this area at 63.25. But what ideally might happen here, we might get some longs. If we get a candle to close above this zone over here, then we can look for longs back up to let's see. So we have some type of support over here and resistance. Yeah, so over here. So that would be the next ideal place to look at. So, but what needs to happen is we need to get, so let me just go on the 4 hour quickly. We can move this up to here. Yeah, so we need to get a candle to close above this 80 this 81.6 zone. So if a candle closes above here, then we can look for longs back up to this zone over here, this 92 zone. But we need a candle to close above here in order for it to be valid, because you can see over here, when prices come into this zone, what tends to happen, we move down, right? We move down over here, and when looking past, you can see here, when price came into the zone, we moved down. So we need a candle to close above the zone in order for us to place our longs. But if we don't get a candle to close above the zone, then shorts would be able to come back down to the 63 area. So yeah, at the moment, there's not much to be said here. What we do need is a candle to close above this zone in order for you to place longs. And let me look at APE. Actually, I haven't looked at APE in a while. Let's see what's happening. Okay, so we're looking at the daily here. So where are we? We are sitting at this area over here. So basically, what needs to happen is this zone over here. You can see that this zone that I've just highlighted is a massive area of support. So basically, when you're looking at this chart, you have to identify where we are on the chart, right? So we are currently approaching a zone of massive support. So when price comes into the zone, you can see that there's reactions, right? So you can see how many times we reacted off the zone. Over here, and we actually made a fake out over here. So what tends to happen when we come into the zone is we come up and we come back down. But whenever we come above the zone, so you can see we closed above the zone, we actually move to the upside. And whenever we closed above, we move to the upside. Closed above, we move to the upside. So technically, what would happen is price needs to close above this zone in order for us to look for longs. And at the moment, we are getting rejected off this zone. And what I would like to see happen is a closure above this area in order for us to get longs. So if we do get that closure, I'll be looking at longs 100%. And the next area would be this area over here. This zone over here would be the next zone. And why is it that zone? Because when price closes above this 4.22 zone, price comes up to this zone. So price closed above here, we came back up to this zone. Closed above here, came back up to this zone. So if price closes above this area, then you can look for longs back up to 5.1, and that's what I'll be looking at for APE. Yeah, if there's any other coins you want me to look at, let me know. We can do some live analysis here. So APE longs would be valid if we get a closure above this area. It is a 21% move, so it will take a couple days. This is on the daily chart, but you know, the risk to reward is quite massive for this. So that's what I'll be looking at for APE, because whatever happens here above this zone, we tend to come back up to this zone over here, this 5.1 zone. So just sorry about that. Just make sure you take a look at this. So I'll be watching this area over here with candle closures. But the thing is, you can't go into this trade now, because whenever we come into this area, we tend to react, right? So we tend to come down whenever we don't close above the zone. So you see here, we didn't close above here, we came down. Over here, we came down. So we need to close above this area, and that's what I'll be looking at. So if we close above this area, then longs would be valid to about 5.1, and that's what I'll be looking at. And I also wanted to speak about Solana. I spoke about Solana in my last live, and I was speaking about these zones over here. So you can see Solana is very interesting to look at here. So what has actually been happening is that, obviously with the whole FTX and Alameda Research had a lot of Solana's funds, and what actually happened, they sold off all their funds into the market and actually caused a massive drop. So you can see that, price actually came back down to this area at 8.05, which was this area of support over here. And what I was saying, if we close below this zone, then we can see a 4.52 Solana. Yeah, sure, I'll check LTP for you, LPT for you now, after Solana. So basically what I was looking at now is, okay, so we've closed back above the zone. So now, in order for us to get another move to the upside, we have to take out this resistance at the top here. So the next zone for Solana to break would be, let me just close this, would be this area over here. So this zone over here. So this, if we get a closure above here, then we can definitely look for longs back up to this resistance. And that's what I'll be looking at for Solana. Yeah, so what I'll be looking at here, let me just type it out for you. So I'll look for bars above this area. So you can see on the daily, this is the daily chart, right? So what happens here, you can see even on the 4-hour, we need closures above this zone. So if we get a 4-hour closure with nice volume above this zone, the next logical area would be back up to this zone, right? So yeah, bars above this area would be valid, definitely. But there might be some type of rejection of the zone, and we would have to just look at that. Yeah, so let's have a look at what was it? LPT. I actually don't really trade LPT, but sure, let's just go through it. So looking at a weekly output here, you can, okay, so LPT is pretty much at the lowest it's ever been on Binance. Let me just see if I can get another chart here. Yeah. Let me look at Kraken quickly just to see the difference. Yeah, this is better. It gives us a better wider view. Okay, so LPT is looking very, very dangerous. I'm not too sure why it's been coming down like this, but let me just highlight the areas where I think maybe price can go. So on the weekly, we are actually currently, our weekly low would be, our weekly low is over here. And then our weekly high would be a 5.67 over here. So what I'll be looking at here, closures above this zone would be valid for longs. So longs above this zone, and basically because I'll explain it now, valid. Let me just put this down. So you can see now this weekly candle is looking very, very bearish. So we've had a massive bearish weekly candle, and now the bulls are starting to push it up, right? So if we get a closure above this zone, then we're looking at longs. But if you're looking on the daily chart here, you can see that this area over here, so what actually happens here at this zone is a lot of resistance is sitting at this area. So when price comes up to this zone, we tend to consolidate, right? So in order for LPT to come back up to this zone, we need to get a closure above here, and then we can look for longs back up to certain levels. like over here. So this zone over here would be the next ideal zone. But I'm not gonna lie, this is not looking good for LPT. If you're holding LPT, I'm not it's not looking too great, but if you're just trading it, then it's all right. So let me just come down to a smaller time frame, because yeah, so when looking at this here, we have our weekly support at 4.41, right? And then we have this resistance at 5.62. So we have a 5.64 resistance and then a 7.11 at the top here. So what I'll be looking at here, we have to break this zone in order for longs to be valid. Let's just go down on a smaller time frame here. Okay, so on the 4 hour, there's not much resistance, so I can definitely see a push up. Let me just go in this other chart here, because here we go. Let me just redraw these levels out. So it was 5.64, 5.64 over here, and a 7.11. 7.11. Okay, so these are your zones, okay, and you can see there's not much resistance happening over here. There's just this massive push down, so it's obviously had a massive sell-off, and it's trying to make some type of recovery. So if I'm drawing my Fibonacci here, we can see that we are actually rejecting off this 0.382 level. So when drawing your Fibonacci, you draw it from the high to the low. So you can see I've drawn it from this high to this low, and price is actually tapped into this 0.382 zone. So whenever you get retracements, you normally get retracements back into the golden pockets, which would be over here, which hasn't been tested yet. So what I'll be looking at for LPT is maybe some type of movement back up to this zone. But if you're looking for to take trades for LPT, we're looking at this area over here. So we're on the 4 hour. You can see if we get a closure below the zone, maybe shorts would be valid. So if we get a closure below this area over here, then I'll be looking for shorts for LPT. So whenever you can see that this area is a significant resistance, so you can see that when price comes up to this zone, we tend to come down, right? When price comes up to this zone, we tend to come down. So a 4 hour closure below this zone, you can look for shorts back down to this area over here. So that's what I'm looking at for LPT. So at the moment, in order for you to look for longs, we need to break this area over here. So if we break this zone over here at the top here, this 4.825, then we can look for longs. But at the moment, we are looking bearish on the 4 hour. And if we get a closure below this zone, then shorts are valid 100% back down to this area over here. So at the moment, what you need to wait for is a closure above here or a closure below here. And if we get a closure below here, we might see a push down to this area over here, this 4.6. A closure above here, we can see a push up to this zone. So there's two trades that are valid here. And yeah, so that's LPT. Is there any other charts you guys want me to go over? Yeah, so that's pretty much all the charts I have today. Yeah, so what I'm basically looking at is, we have all this this massive news happening. So today we have we go yeah, we have FOMC meeting minutes, which is at 9 p.m. SA time, and obviously this it's a detailed report. So it happens 8 times per year. So it's normally 3 weeks after the federal funds rate. And what people are saying is the Fed raised the rate 7 times in a row, and the consensus among the analysts is that they will do this so again at the end of the month, which will be very bearish for crypto. So that's what I'm just saying. This week is massive. We also have non-farm payrolls on Friday, and yeah, we need to watch out for that. So I'm just going to end it off with a few Twitter threads. So basically, when looking over here, we have Bitcoin number of addresses holding one plus coins just reached an all-time high this morning. So you can see over here that we've reached an all-time high of funds holding address of Bitcoin, and this is very bullish because within the bear markets, a lot of people tend to, fold out of the crypto scene or within any scene. So you can see at the moment, Bitcoin is still gaining adoption, which is crazy to think, and that's why I'm very bullish on higher time frames and a long time frame view. Looking at this, so this was very interesting. So this is the US dollar. Okay, so the US dollar in January tends to give a massive pump. So you can see this is January 2015. We had a movement of 8.8% to the upside. In 2016, a movement of 1.56 to the upside. In 2018, we had a movement of 6%. 2019, 4.5%. And then 2020, 6.4%. And then in end of 2020, we had a movement of 4.3%, and then obviously in 2022 we had a massive move of 20%, and that was when we had that massive bearish movement. So typically Januaries are very, very bad for crypto, so we need to keep an eye out for that. And obviously you can see the months after January are historically bullish for the DXY, which means it's bearish for crypto. So we need to watch out for that, and obviously with all the news that is coming out, we just need to be aware of what's happening in the market. Yeah, and then looking at this chart before I end off, you can see that this is the month until the next halving. So we have the next halving in 2024 March, if I'm correct. Yes, 2024 March, and you can see that whenever we are green over here and then we start turning blue, we start to form a bullish trend. So you can see over here we're green, and then we started blue, and then we started to form a bullish trend, green, blue, and then upwards, and now we're entering that green zone where the dark green starts to turn a bit lighter and starts to go blue. Is looking like this year could be the next year of a big bull run that can start. So need to make sure we're watching this out. It's just something interesting to look at. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the live today. Please make sure you guys like and subscribe. And yeah, thanks so much for joining and tuning in. I've gone over quite a few charts just to look at. And yeah, thanks so much for joining in, and have a happy new year, and wishing you